This episode of Inside Golf Podcast is brought to you by Inside Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Boston Capital Twitter, Steve, on the Hold the Green podcast.
All right, we are live. Tap in, birdie.
All right, Carson Young is here.
I bet Ludwig at 28.
Let's go. I bet
You
him
did
at,
too?
I bet him at 25.
low sevens. I think there's some guys in here we like.
Harris English at 7,300.
Why the fuck would I not bet Rory?
All right, RB, we are back. It is Monday afternoon of your hometown event, man. I am super fired up for this week. I have my misgivings and issues with the 2024/2025 iteration of the Cognizant Classic, but happy Florida swing, man.
Excited to be back. Hopefully some more predictable golf on golf courses that we know.
I don't know about predictable golf on a golf course with 15 individual water hazards, but we can certainly try.
Bingo. Yeah. It should be fun. We'll see what the wind does this week, but always a very fun, carnage-filled event here.
Well, so how far do you live from the golf course? You've been to PGA National. You've played PGA National. We have Rishi on the grounds at PGA National right now. So if you have not already, we will give some teasers in this show, certainly of what Rishi has observed from the grounds today, but hop in that Discord, get that promotion out of the way early in the episode. That is the place to be this week because we're going to have a bunch of stuff from on site. Plus, that's where you get the ownership projections, the community, and everything else at the Wednesday night premium show with Rishi, recapping everything. So InsideSportsNetwork.com, join. We would love to have you. But so what's the weather been like? Because I have some thoughts on the golf course.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a little cold front, as everyone has. Obviously, no snow or ice down here, but not a lot of rain. So I think that'll be something interesting to watch. I do expect the course to be plenty firm, both fairways and greens. I think for PGA National, obviously we'll talk about the wind and the water, but the biggest thing here is the rough. If they build this rough up, it becomes, more of a US Open. But what they've done the last few years is
chop
really
it down.
Hasn't been that bad. Yeah. So interested to see what they do this week.
So is it raining right now? Because what you just said about it being firm and lack of rain was not what I was preparing for statistically. It
is overcast where I am, but I'm about 40 minutes south of the course. It is not raining. We really haven't had any rain at all for the last week. So interested to see how the course looks.
Well, that's certainly encouraging because I think that the golf course presents itself a lot better if we get firmer turf. I am seeing right now that Friday, as far as wind goes, the firmness of the turf is one thing, right? But for the Honda to truly cooperate and for you to get that +1 over par, plus 1.5, +2 scoring, you need the wind as well. And it does look like Friday is going to at least provide something. You look at Friday morning and we're looking at 14 to 16 mile per hour sustained gusts throughout the day or sustained wind speeds with 23 mile per hour gusts in the morning. So if I'm giving you my early opinion on the golf course conditions, how it's going to play, and of course this will change as we break it down a little bit more with Rishi and all our Palm Beach friends over the next 40 hours. But it looks to me like maybe there's hope that it doesn't play as hard. I mean, last year you have to remember it was like El Nino soft, right?
Yes. And if you're just looking at raw scoring numbers, just remember they converted number 10 to a par 5 last year.
I'll never forget.
So he was really only 13 under, which again, it's usually 8 to 12.
The Honda
is kind of what you're looking for.
That's still easy for the Honda. There's the Honda there's years where the Honda was +2 over par. I mean, there's years where the Honda played more difficult than a US Open. So yeah, I get it. I hope people do realize that for the par is just a social construct. That's actually not true. Like there was a University of Colorado study that actually dived into how golfers view their strategy on playing par fives mentally versus playing par fours. I get all that stuff. It's a podcast for a different day. Even if it played as a par four, this is still a consistent and somewhat blatant effort to chop the rough down. We have overseeded fairways now. And I just think it's a little bit of a different golf course than it was in 2019 and 2020. I think that in the past, we've seen the Honda, it's been really a scramble fest, right?
Yeah.
And it's been so important to hit to navigate your way through the bear trap, right? And the bear trap now, they moved the tees up on the bear trap quite a bit. It's a little bit more of the bunny trap than the bear trap, in my opinion. And this is, in my opinion, RB, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you've even thrown some cold water on it already, saying you do believe it's going to be firmer. But to me, this is like the current version of TPC Sawgrass or TPC Twin Cities. Like it's 15 to 18 under par with fast-ish greens, 1 day of wind, but it is just all approach and putting, in my opinion.
I'm with you. I think, again, we'll see what the rough looks like, because that could bring, I'm sure you're not really looking at driving accuracy as much as most people.
I'm not. I think that's
you're
a
probably
bit
right with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember walking around this course in 2017, 2018, right? That rough was thick. Like you could not miss the fairway or else you're chipping out, right?
Yeah.
And there's going to be a little bit of that this week, but I'm definitely more aligned with what you said on your preview show yesterday than I think the general consensus of this is like a plotters type course.
No, well, I just think it's a golf course where off the tee is devalued. Like you look at driver usage percentage at this golf course is amongst the lowest on the PGA Tour. Like, I don't think that you win this golf tournament with your driver. I think that I think driver utilization on this golf course is to properly set up your second shot. And like, there's red herrings all across the leaderboard, your Cam Youngs and your Minwoo Lees. Like, Minwoo Lee just hit driving iron off of every tee and gained 7 strokes on approach. Like Cameron Young clubbed down off the tee and won this tournament via one of his best approach weeks of the season as well. So to me, in terms of the golf course breakdown, we're already deep into Honda. Gosh, I wanted to do some Mexico too. We'll circle back.
Talk about Mexico.
I did. I thought it was fucking electric. And I have deep sympathy and compassion for the Pot of GG backers. Like they were numerous in the Discord. And I am definitely in the camp that this was a bad beat and a tough loss, and they deserve to be properly frustrated. But okay, so we can put a bow on the golf course conditions at Honda. I think we're fairly similar on this. As always, check back in the Discord later this evening. We'll get some thoughts from Rishi spending the day there. We got a bunch of locals to your area that will be checking out the golf course in the next couple of days for us. So InsideSportsNetwork.join. Let's circle back to Mexico for a second. I thought that was one of the more electric final rounds that I genuinely, and I'm not just saying that because so many people had a sweat, and it just felt like everyone in our Discord and on Twitter, there was a point in that, like, there was a point on the back nine where Alex Smalley was plus 250, right? Like, there was a point on the back nine where I had 4 guys within 3 strokes, not including Pot of Gigi. And it just felt like this giant smorgasbord of losers, right? And I kind of made the joke of like, Pot of Gigi did everything in his power to give that golf tournament away. And yet I still don't even know if I would have put him in the top 5 power rankings of wanted to win the golf tournament least on Sunday. What were your thoughts from the final round at the Mexico Open?
Yeah, I mean, for him specifically, a lot of PTSD from he had a 4-shot
Did you have
lead.
pots?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I had him 90 days ago when he did the same thing with a 4-shot lead
in South Africa. So you're
where he
long
couldn't
on
chip.
pots. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think Kyle was
and
the double pots too.
And it's the same, it's exactly what we said. He can't chip, right? And it was on full display, both with execution and probably golf course management, shot choice a little bit.
Oh my God. Yeah. We could talk about that.
But for these guys being, almost 20 under par through 3 rounds, and Patagigi and Campbell and Jaeger, essentially all 3 of them did nothing on Sunday, right? I think Jaeger was the most surprising. I kind of felt like he was probably the guy to beat.
Can I tell you this about Jaeger? Because I know me some Stevie Yeggs. Like Stevie Yeggs is one of my guys. I was on him in Houston when he won Houston. Here's the thing with Stevie Yeggs. Stevie Yeggs needs to be hitting his irons well to have a chance. And I knew, and this was why Stevie Yeggs wasn't as much of a surprise for me, is he let you know early that he just did not have it with his irons. Here's the thing with Stevie Yeggs and why I bet him this week and why it's such a good golf course for Stevie Yeggs. He is really wild off the tee. Like he goes way past parallel in his swing. He's gone on the No Laying Up podcast and talked about his basic strategy. And I think that this is it's going to sound really elementary and silly, but the way that he navigates golf courses is far better than like 75% of PGA Tour golfers. He generally understands that distance is king on the modern version of the PGA Tour. And that is the case more than like any other golf course at Vedanta Vallarta, where a lot of these holes are just, and that's what made the pot guider thing more, so frustrating, because if you're a pot guider, I think you should just be destroying it left, right?
Yeah.
Like Yeggs was doing. But the thing with Jaeger is he murders it off the tee, but he actually plays like semi-smart golf. And whether he's going to play good or not on a golf course like this all comes down to whether or not he has it or not with the long irons, because he's actually a pretty good putter too. And I know he missed some putts in the final round, but he putted well for the most part. And I just knew early with Jaeger, like he was shanking iron shots over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising because on Friday and Saturday, his irons were great. Every time I looked up, he was 8 feet away and 10 feet away. And I just felt like that was going to all carry over into Sunday. And he just didn't have it at all.
The thing that was so, I think, difficult if you're holding a Patagigi ticket is that there are a lot of holes at Vedanta Vallarta where distance is a major edge for you, right? Because a lot of these golf holes are basically just wide open fields of grass. And, the farther that you can get up, the biggest advantage that you're going to have. Like if you think about the 18th hole is really one of the golf hole. Like if they were playing 17 over and over again, when it was Ben Campbell hitting a 7-wood versus Potts hitting a 5-iron, maybe, Campbell has the advantage because he was so good with his long irons. But on that golf hole, all Potts has to do is keep the ball on the planet. And he is always going to have a 40-yard edge on the second shot than Brian Campbell or Ben Campbell. Was it Brian or Ben? One's a range.
This one's Brian.
Yeah, the other one's the other one's the range goat. But it was such, I think what increased the frustration is it was such a statistical anomaly for don't call me the range coat Campbell to have any form of an advantage on pot guider on that golf hole whatsoever. And like he had approach distances into par 4s where he had 260 yards in. Like we're not just talking about a moderate length player. We are talking about the shortest player on the PGA Tour on a golf course that may emphasize distance over more so than most golf courses on the PGA Tour. That's a tough pill to swallow, man.
For sure. And with Potgieter, I think the most frustrating thing on 18 is that he was in the fairway both times, right?
He was.
But like even in regulation, when he made birdie from the bunker, that's basically 3, I'll call it mid irons that he was hitting into that par 5. He didn't get a single one within like 25 yards of the hole.
I know. It's kind of a low key eagle spot for him.
Right? Like, and we are just begging for a 4. So it was, I mean, nerves, obviously a big part of it. His short game's not great. So like that part wasn't unexpected, but and then a brutal break for Brian Campbell in the playoffs. So
any other big surprises for you? I will say this about Aaron Rye. Did not bet Aaron Rye at 33-1, played him a lot in DFS, but I really thought he was going to win there for a second. And I love the guy. I love Aaron Rye. I was on him at the Wyndham. I've played him in DFS almost every single week this season. He was core for me at Torrey. Like, this guy is just an absolute flusher with his long irons. And in my opinion, he is like the better version of Campbell, right? Like, he has a little bit more length than Campbell. And I mean, he is one of the, like, from 200 yards plus, he totally makes up for any lack of distance. I think Aaron Rye, I'm just going to continue to be long on all season on any golf course that is just a bunch of long irons. Majors, you know?
Yeah, majors. I know Bethpage is not a good course, but I expect him to be on that team.
He should be on that team. Bethpage is a bunch of long irons.
Right? Yeah, like, I mean, Matt Fitzpatrick is so awful right now. You can't put a guy like that. But no, I mean, I think Mexico played out as expected. A lot of chalk. Like, obviously, we all had Puck Eater, but if you take out the top 3, that leaderboard goes Rye, Ben Griffin, Steven
It was
Yeager,
all, I mean, it was all
Akshay,
guys. We were
Smalley,
all, Smalley, Nikolai Hochgaard. I thought Nikolai had a chance for a second there.
I thought Akshay had a chance when he was like 4 under through 8 and 4 under through 7. Like, I mean, it was very clear that this lead was not going to get to like 23 under par, which is, I think, where people thought it was going to go. So, I mean, really anybody who was like minus 12 or 11 to start the day felt like they had a good chance.
God, I wasn't even angry at it because this is 100% what you bargained for with Alex Smalley. And like, I had gotten to the point with Alex Smalley where I just had so much of him everywhere. And it was one of those bets where you just go so all in on the guy. And then by Wednesday night, you're like, this has miscut written all over it. So I was honestly just happy that I didn't embarrass myself with the all-in statistical on Alex Smalley take, let alone the fact that he did possess a legitimate chance to win on Sunday. But oh my God, does that guy want nothing to do with winning? Because
I don't think I can bet him like ever again. There's something he just does not have it.
That's why I was more frustrated actually with Smalley than Yeager, because I was like, oh, Yeager doesn't have it today. Like, you know, he's going to need a massive blow up from Potts to even have a chance. He's actually doing a decent job scrambling. Alex Smalley was flushing the ball on the front 9. Like, Alex Smalley looked like the best. Alex Smalley almost led the field off to tee this week. Like, Alex Smalley looked so good. And then he got to the 3 par 5s on the back 9 as literally I agree with you, Ben, by the way, as the best driver in the field. And he was finding ways to bogey those par 5s, whatever. It was a bet that, you know, paid for itself, and I got some relevance out of it. But oh my God,
it was very bad. Yeah. It was just and it was kind of like that slow death where it's like, oh, he's gonna miss the iron in the one spot, you can't miss it, and then he's gonna chip it to 12 feet and miss it. Like, it was just constant pain. I just wanted to talk about it because I had so much fun with it in the Discord and just watching it all week. And I am generally somebody who thinks that, you know, often when it gets said luck box or bad beat in the Discord or on Twitter, it's often an exaggeration. I think the pot getter people have every reason in the world to be frustrated with that. Like, I know that there was never that pot getter minus 400. Like, there was never a moment in the tournament where people are like, oh, it's over, right? Like, you never saw that pot getter minus 500 moment. But he was the most relevant person in that golf tournament for 2.5 days.
Like since Friday at noon,
Yeah.
Pot Guider was either the tournament favorite or at worst the second on the odds board. So anyway,
Yeah, and
we can
and it was just a long day. Right before he started, Ventura missed a 4-footer on 18 for the top 20.
it's tough.
And then in the
I had a
morning,
really good top
I had the
20s
solo
week. I
second in
needed
Europe.
it.
So
Yeah.
it was tough.
Yeah.
Tough week.
All right, let's go back to the Honda. We talked about the golf course.
Yep.
9K ranging up. Give me your reaction to the pricing this week. I think it's super soft and
It's brutal.
I have some issues with it. Like I am
super soft.
I'm off on 1K on like multiple golfers this week in pricing.
Well, I do not think you need to get close to 50K in salary at all. Like I'm certainly not one to build like a 48K lineup, but if you want to leave 400, 500, 600 this week, like it's perfectly viable. I think there's going to be a lot of spread at the very, very top of the board, but because it's so soft, like it's going to be easy to click Henley and somebody else. And I think people will do that. The only guys that I don't think are going to get a ton of ownership up here, I don't think Keith Mitchell is going to get a lot of ownership at the price because he has so little win equity despite winning this exact event. And I don't think Denny is going to as well. Bad course, even though he's in form, bad course history, 0 win equity. I think they're going to be the 2 lowest in this range.
Okay, here's my take on the 9K plus range because I've thought about this a lot this morning. I jumped out of bed this morning to bet the Honda. I was up at like 4:30 a.m. Pacific time, just firing on all cylinders, ready for that burger 30 to pop for me.
It did, yeah.
I talked about this last week with Akshay, and I'll gladly Vic lap the ownership because I do put so much like painstaking amount of time into that ownership. I think that what we saw with Akshay last week is going to happen with Henley, potentially even to a greater extent, where because I listen and consume everything to make my ownership projections, and there was not a lot of people being like, "Oh, I love Akshay Bhatia this week. Here's all the reasons why Akshay Bhatia," there wasn't a lot of outward touting, flag planting on Akshay last week, but he basically slept walked himself into being the highest owned player on the slate because the pricing was so soft. There was only 11 guys over 9K and he was the highest priced at 10.7. So Akshay basically like accidentally got ownership because people just want to use their salary. I think that's going to happen this week at Henley. I think Henley is going to sleepwalk his way into being 30% owned because people just aren't comfortable leaving money on the table. That would be my opinion. And I think that there's a very good chance that Berger is also 30%. And the Henley, unfortunately, these are the players that I think are the best plays. So I don't know how I'm going to navigate that, but I think that Berger and Henley, who I do believe are the best plays, are both going to come in above 30%, generally just based out of 20, out of necessity. I mean, RB, we talked about on the Sunday pod in the Discord, Berger opened 28 on DraftKings last night, and we said it immediately. I mean, he immediately went down to 25, 22 to 1.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't know if Berger will get quite that high, but if you were to stack those two together,
the math won't math then. So it's either he gets that high or people leave the money on the table.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, like you're still going to have the course history, long-term form of guys like Straka, Lowry, right? Who have all won and been very close to winning this event.
RB, I think you could still put all of them at 20% and Berger could get the
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think everybody's going to have 2 plays over 9K. I think that's the only way to build this week. I think pricing is soft. I mean, even if you played Henley and Berger together, for example, like you only need 1 6K guy, and you might not even need one. Like you might be able to go straight 7s at that point and still be perfectly fine. So,
Kyle, I could see him being the second highest, but I don't think there's any. Do you think there's did I miss some Straka love this morning? Do you think there's any way that Straka comes close to Berger? Kyle, I think it's Henley Berger chalk start with Straka coming in comfortably below Berger, but maybe I don't know. I haven't seen half as much Straka love as I have.
Do you know what I see here? I see everybody going like Henley Berger, Henley Straka, Pendrith, whatever,
Agreed.
and then everybody catching up Wednesday night and saying, "Wait, is Im going to be 12% owned?" And then late steam on course fit, course horse, course winner, Sung J M, who is probably the best player, not named Russell Henley, in this event. So
I was going to ask, have you looked at or is data golf all over our boy Sung Jae? Sung Jae is a non-functional approach player right now. And I like me some Sung Jae M. Like, I'm not even a Sung Jae hater by any means.
Data golf is saying exactly what we're saying. Like, they don't like Berger because he obviously missed a lot of time, but they have it very flat across the board. All those top guys rate out, pretty well. On Mitchell, Berger would be the 3 lowest in terms of their overall ratings.
I can give you my power rankings of the top. Okay, let's go top 6. Okay, so, ends with Straka, because I do think there's a bit of a talent gap here between Straka and Denny McCarthy. And I think people are gonna, I think people are going to look at Straka and above differently than Denny and below in terms of how I would rank them. In terms of, I'm putting ownership aside here. I'm saying, like, who do I think are the best plays and most likely to win the tournament? Henley, Berger. I think Lowry, Sung Jae, Straka, Pendrith are like really close, to be honest with you. I'm gonna put Pendrith at the bottom of that power ranking. And the reason why I would do that is it looks like the irons, he's just been playing a lot of golf to start the season, and we start to see some major approach regression from him. And I still think that Sung Jae has more Honda institutional knowledge where, Sung Jae is the type of player that I do believe can finish top 10 at this event, losing strokes on approach. And the pathway for Pendrith to finish top 5 at this event with substandard iron play is nuking off the tee. And I don't think this is a nuke off the tee golf course. It's not a golf course that you win with your driver. It's a golf course where you set up with your driver. It's not a golf course where you win with your driver. I
agree. And then, so I mentioned Sung Jae, and I'm probably going to play him because I think he's going to be lowest owned. He would probably be 6 right now in my power rankings, just based on.
You think you're going to play him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be half the ownership of Berger and Henley. So I probably will, but yeah, for me, it's one Henley. You can flip flop Lowry and Straka. I think they're very close, and then be Berger 4, Pendrith 5, in 6.
I gotta say, once we get past them, I think this is the worst 8K range of the season. Like, I actually think this range is ass. I think it is legitimate ass. Like,
Cameron slander.
Cameron Young is not a functional golfer. Like, I heard this at Torrey Pines, and I played Cameron Young at Torrey Pines, which in my opinion is a way better golf course fit for him than Honda. I understand that he's been good here, but the reason why Cameron Young's been good here is because he's putted out of his mind and had really good approach weeks. Do you think we can count on that from him right now?
No, he can't. This dude can't hit an iron
at all.
It's not even close. Yeah, I have a running DM with Joseph Lamagna, and like every few hours we just put in something about.
He loves Cam Young. Yeah,
it's great. But no, he's not a play here. Probably not a play in the Florida swing in general at all. So.
Kobe's going to play him, and the case is the case is going to be that he's low owned, and he's played well at this golf course in the past and played well at positional golf courses in the past. Like, I understand all that. I think there's better. The problem is like, I can't come to you with a pivot because I don't like Minwoo.
Nope.
I don't love Keith Mitchell. Benny On is really non-functional right now, despite the course history. I mean, it's interesting. There's a lot of parallels right now between Cameron Young and Benny On. They're kind of the same guy right now. Like, they're still great drivers of the ball, but their irons are an absolute disaster. And in my opinion, like the edge that I'm taking this week in my course breakdown is like, this is middle irons all day. Like this is the golf course where you gear up to play Tom Hoagie and Lee Hodges and and Daniel Berger and Russell Henley and all these great middle iron players. Like I don't think this is the golf course to take a chance on low owned bombers.
I'm with you. And again, like I don't know exactly how many lineups I'm going to make this week. It's very possible that I play nobody between Sepp Straka and Andrew Novak.
I'm not going to. Only
I may skip
Kitayama.
that entire range.
Yeah,
but again, you talked about data golf. They love Kitayama, so you may have.
I love Kitayama. I will never not love Kitayama. Dave, I'll take Kitayama over Grazerman with you this week. Grazerman is 8,700. Kitayama's 8,300. So DraftKings is telling you that you have the advantage. I will absolutely go straight up on.
I don't know how Grazerman's still priced up here. This guy should be.
I faded him every single week this season. Every single week I have
like Taylor Moore.
Every single week this season I have to do a Golf Digest column that I write on Monday. And I kind of feel bad because, you know, I end up usually being on different guys because I write it like first thing when pricing comes out, and I haven't done ownership yet or anything like that. Okay, Dave, you know where to reach me. Don't be a young cooch, man. You want to take David Skins over Kitayama? I'm offering you Grazerman. If you want to peacock me and try and say that David Skins is better than Kitayama, even though Data Golf has him as the 5th ranked golfer in the field, my numbers have him as the 1st ranked. There's some context involved in there as well. I'm not betting Kitayama to win. I don't think his putter's close enough to win the golf tournament. I think he bounces back this week, but I don't think he can make enough putts to win the golf tournament. But he's the only person in the 8K range that I'm like, I've seen some DT love. I don't think there's a good DT course at all.
I'm with you. And I'm kind of bearish on DT overall. Just feel like his win put him into a stratosphere that I don't think he's quite at now. He's another guy that like pop him in this field at like 8K or 7,900. And I think it makes a little more sense.
This is the worst 8K range I've ever seen. I can't get over it. I think Spieth's unplayable.
Yeah. And like, even like despite form on like Michael Kim and Ben Griffin, like I would play Ben Griffin.
Ben Griffin's playing his 8th week in a row. You know, it was really interesting. The 7th week in a row narrative last week, we didn't really come to much of a conclusion because Ben Griffin, the 3 guys that played, I'll get there, Dave. The 3 guys that played, but you should know this. The 3 guys that were playing their 7th week in a row at Mexico was Slam and Sammy Stevens, who flamed out and then withdrew from the Cognizant. That's a Vic lap on the 7th week in a row narrative. Ben Griffin, though, who finished 4th in his 7th week in a row and is now playing his 8th. And then Patrick Rogers, who was rolling along quite nicely. And then the 7th week in a row monsters came for him on Sunday, and he fell all the way down the leaderboard into a T31. So I don't know where we stand on the narrative. Is that a Vic or an L? I mean, it worked.
I think it's a Vic. I think it's a Vic, and you're going to see Patrick Rogers miss this cut as well.
Agreed.
So,
easy fade. Patrick Rogers.
Easy fade.
Patrick Rogers, easy fade. Ben Griffin makes sense for me from a course fit perspective. I think it's a good sell spot.
I'm with you. Like, the only guy that I'm playing here is Andrew Novak. Bet him at 60 to 1 this morning. We've been high on him all year.
Okay.
Had the 3rd at Torrey, had the runner up in the fall. He came back at Torrey again with another, I think he tied for 13th, with another T13 at Pebble in between there. And made his last 2 cuts here at Honda/Cog, 9th last year, where he gained in all 4 categories. Just, super high on Andrew Novak in general. And I think this is a perfect course and a perfect field for him.
I don't know what it is, why I'm so fired up about this or firing off such strong opinions today on Honda Week, but I truly, just diving into it right now, I cannot believe how terrible this range is. Michael Kim is allergic to Florida. Like, has he ever done anything of note in Florida ever? He cannot. We have zero evidence that Michael Kim can play on Bermuda.
Yeah,
he's a Cal guy.
Yeah. And I think we see that a lot. Now, there's a lot of these guys, from California that have moved here, or just other people.
Not Michael Kim though, right? He's a Scottsdale guy, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, not Michael Kim. I don't know where Patrick Rogers is right now, but I know he's not here. I'm pretty sure he's not here. So, I think you see these California guys struggle quite a bit. So
Kitty for sure. Kitty, I'm so locked into this. I could tell you where all these guys live. Kittyama's Vegas guy, but he has a third at Honda in the past and also one at Bay Hill. So he's exempt. He's checking the Florida box.
There we go.
Okay, I mean Eckroat. I'd maybe play Eckroat.
Yeah, I guess he's just been. He's missed 4 of his last 5 cuts. There's something. He's just not playing that well.
He's not playing well. Yeah,
and I know he just won in Mexico in the fall, but I don't want a guy to have to find his form at PGA National.
Agreed.
That's not going to work. So
agreed. And that's kind of the Spieth. That's kind of the anti-Spieth case, right? Is like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What makes us think that Spieth's going to find it here? I think the top 5 in Phoenix at a very comfortable spot for him was a bit of a red herring. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. 25-1 on Berger is crazy. Who else though? Like, I think that's kind of the. I don't love Berger at 25-1, but I don't really know. I'm not going to sit here and say it's bad odds either.
Yeah, I would have bet him at 50 if they gave us 50, but we got 20. Yeah, I got a 30. Probably still some 25 and 28s out there, but it's fair. Like, this field is not that good. He's been playing great. We've only seen it for a short period of time.
Dave, Spieth at the Players is deader than Jimmy Hoffa, as Brian would say. He has a 0% chance of winning the Players.
He's terrible there. Yeah,
he's terrible at the Players, and you need to be in really good iron form to win the Players. You know what? I'm not going to say he's deader than Hoffa, because if he's positive on approach the next couple of weeks, I will say your bet has a chance. It's not a bad number. Billy Horschel, 7.9K is my favorite play on the slate. I think he's $1,000 too cheap. I bet him to win at 55-1.
Yeah, I kind of saw it, and then I thought about it, and then I was going to click him also this morning. Then I'm like, everyone's betting Billy Horschel.
Are they?
I want to be there. Yeah, I think so, because the 55.
I feel like the tip chart's been hot. I feel like the tip chart's been hot though. I
think Billy Horschel's getting.
I feel like how do we navigate? I think that when we're the course breakdowns and stuff with the Steam guys, I think they're getting sharper, right?
Oh, totally. I think Billy Horschel is getting a lot of credit for April through September of 2024. And we are now in 2025. He played well at Pebble. The iron play has been pretty solid, but he still missed 3 of his 5 cuts this year. It's not, I don't think 55 is a great number. I just think people were surprised at the names he was around. So I don't blame him. I do think he's a better DraftKings play than an outright bet, because he really hasn't contended here ever. He's got some solid finishes, but kind of backdoor Sunday stuff. But yeah, love him as a DK play this week.
I like Glover at 7.7. That would be I
considered him too.
Golf's tip checker, Billy Ho, Daniel Berger, Lee Hodges, the ISN special. Has that been translating to the tips charts? We've been pretty crazy on Lee Hodges.
I think everyone's betting Lee Hodges this week. Yeah, Coley was on him too. I think that one is way out of the bag. Just been in really good form. Comp course history. Just
EPC Twin Cities.
Yep. Yeah. Everything points to Hodges here. I think just looking at pricing. I think the price drop on Taylor Moore, Harry Hall, and Nikolai are going to garner some ownership, because these are all guys that played last week, were pretty popular at much higher price points. So I think people always buy into that. I don't mind Woodland. I'm not sure where I'm going with that yet. I don't mind Johnny Vegas this week.
I like Johnny Vegas.
Plays well here. Obviously played well at Century, and then I think he was hurt because he didn't play for a few weeks. But yeah, he plays these golf courses very well. I bet and love Ryan Gerard this week.
Me too. Great play.
Yeah, really, just a really solid overall player. Had top 20 at Mexico, top 20 at Torrey. He won on the Corn Ferry Tour last year, and he has a 4th place finish here. I believe that was the year he was a Monday Q. So obviously can go low. He likes the Bermuda. He likes this golf course. Not much else that I see down here. I mean, Eric Cole's going to get played. I'm not there at all. I like CT Pan bit. Maybe Grayson Sig, but don't love the upside. Maybe Joel Damon, but don't love the upside. Yeah, I guess that's about it down here.
Dave, Harry Hall wishes I have 5 minutes of time to spend on him. I didn't even know that he was in the field. He's
still 2K cheaper than he was last week, by the way. 2K.
Yeah, I'm still dining out on my soy boy Ben Griffin matchup ticket over Harry Hall. That was the easiest money we've seen here in weeks. Yeah, I mean, what's Hodges' ownership? 12%?
Could get higher. But again, there's so many options here that maybe he doesn't. But I would say he's going to be a top 3 in ownership in the 7K range.
Thoughts on Nico, guys? Is that Echevarria?
Yeah, he's at 73. I'm not an Nico guy. I'm behind on the Nico stuff. I won $0 on Nico, and I don't plan to start now.
Echevarria, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not on my radar. That's a pass for me. I think I was very shocked at Hojgaard's price. I don't think this is a great golf course for Hojgaard. I think that one of the problems with Nikolai on this golf course is, like, this is a golf course where you kind of want to take your medicine off the tee and club down. I thought Mexico, where he could swing away with the driver, because he's super, Rasmus is a little straighter than Nikolai, in my opinion. I really worry about Nikolai still with the big mess. And that's why I don't know if Nikolai is best suited for Florida. Counter argument, he has played well at Le Golf National before. And Le Golf National, I've compared to Honda in the past at some point. So I think on talent alone, would you have blanked if Nikolai was like 8.5 this week?
No, and I know the field's a little better, but I'm shocked that he's, $800 cheaper or so than he was last week. So, and he played well, obviously.
Yeah. Mike, I love Dahmen. He was in Damon. He was in the 100K lineup that our guy King Girth won in the Discord. I think he's going to be pretty popular this week, right? A lot of data golf love. He's playing great. He's got 2 top 10s in his last 3 appearances. He hasn't played great at the Honda in the past, but he's an awesome middle iron player. My guess, RB, is Damon and Hodges are the mega chalk in the low 7s. Maybe Gerard too. Gerard's been playing great, man.
I think, I would take Gerard over both of them strictly for the upside. Like, even when I know Damon finished well last week, but like these real feels, even when he plays well, it feels like he's struggling to crack the top 20. Like, very similar with like Grayson Sig and, like a Sam Ryder. I think all these guys are fine plays and good course fits, but like the odds of Sig and Ryder, like anywhere in the top 20 or top 25 just seems very low. So,
yeah. Ghost Jammed, I know. I just think that, he's playing great right now. He's a great course vet. He's popping in my model. He's popping in Data Golf's model. And I don't think that there's that many outstanding options around him, to be honest with you. Finish us off with a gummy player too. I don't have many in the. I don't have. I'll tell you what I'm thinking building strategy this week. I don't think I'm going to venture much too down far here.
I'm with you. I think,
range.
yes. I mean, I did bet 3 guys down here, so it's my own cross to bear. But so I think the first real play here is Adam Svensson.
I like it.
Great course fit. He is just as bad of a putter as he is. He somehow has gotten worse. Like the last year, he's just been obnoxiously bad on the greens. That I don't see the upside here, even though this is just such a good course fit for him. But he's probably the best player down here. I'll just talk through the 3 guys that I bet. So I did tail the Discord a bit on the great Manacero. Again, probably unlikely to win, but really
that
good
bet's
upside
in this
here.
field. I thought that was a bet on DP World Tour.
No. That's this field. He's been making cuts. Made the cut in Mexico, made the cut at Farmers, made the cut at Amex. He had a really good summer on the DP Tour last year, and he's 2 for 2 and made cuts at this golf course, 12th and 29th. Granted, it was a decade ago, but he's like 300 to 1. So, I mean, what are you gonna need at that price? But I do like your guy Rio Hotstone. Played really well last week in terms of ball striking. I just think it's a good course fit for him. He fairways, hits a lot of greens. He can get super hot with the irons, and he's a pretty solid putter. I don't know if you comp this to Wyndham at all, but he did finish 3rd at Wyndham. I think there is at least a little bit of sort of leaderboard crossover there. And you mentioned the French Open. He won at the Open de France in 2023. So I think Hotstone makes a lot of sense here.
Love it. The only guys that I would add, let's see, big ticket Bryce Gardnett at 66. You already mentioned Svensson.
Yeah.
I don't have much more, RB. Yeah.
I'll throw Danny Willett out there just because it's been out there. But yeah, 9th at the Farmers. He's made a couple of cuts here. Obviously, long-term pedigree. So he's coming off of a wrist injury from the last year or so. And look, if Danny Willett was 3rd in this field, would anybody blink? Probably not. And he was 500 to 1 last night. So,
Ben, I actually don't mind that. Molinari. I'm gonna give him a second look. He came up for me earlier this morning. Ben, I don't know about Vajegas. Kyle has sent like 100 messages about Vajegas this morning. Thoughts on Tim Whiting, RB?
He's a bomber by nature, so probably there. Is anybody going to lose to Kevin Kisner this week?
No, I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to get embarrassed out there. So, yeah.
I mean, there's a club pro in this. Yeah, Ben Polland, I think, is a club pro.
Are you going? Are you going at all?
I will at some point. I was going to make a trip today and do TGL, but it just didn't work out. But yeah, at some point this week, for sure.
Okay, fair enough, my friend. I got to run into another pod, but like and sub as always. We'll keep banging out these YouTube vids for free. We crossed 1,000 subs. Thank you to each and every one of you. And if you want the real craziness, hop in that Discord at InsideSportsNetwork.com. Until then, cheers, RP. Enjoy the golf this week.
All right, buddy. You too.
Later.
See ya.